name a film, I could tell you one thing we could change about. For Drive, very easy. For Drive, I think the number one thing I would change with that film.
What's the most you've rewatched a film in the theater? Same film.
God, do I want to answer this? It's probably a tie.
Is it Paddington Bear?
Oh God, Paddington 2. Oh, yeah, please, that unbelievable. No, I did not see that multiple times. I think the film I've seen the most in theaters was Lost Boys, because of that initial experience as this 80s kid going in and getting blown away by, talk about one of the best soundtracks of all time. I mean, Lost Boys. That I had the CD for, not the cassette. I had the CD for Lost Boys. And between listening to that CD back, forth, and then going to see the film so many times that summer, right? And the other one would be Cocktail. Same time period. I was a kid. We were bored. You know, it's summertime. You're like, let's go to the movies and let's go see something. And let's go see Cocktail again. I took multiple dates to see Cocktail. It was the ultimate date film.
Sure. And this was in Columbus,
yes,
Ohio?
It was.
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio. Those are probably the two. And they each won probably 6 times. Even though I don't like to admit, I have seen Firestarter now 5 times, the most recent one, because it's 90 minutes long and there was nothing else to see and I was bored and I'm 5 minutes from the theater. That's why I went to see it 5 times. But I think, you know what, really the brevity of a film adds to its rewatchability. Because if you're talking about a 3-hour film, then you have to commit 3 hours to that, right? That's a major time commitment. Conversely, if a movie's 85, 90, 95 minutes, you can watch it twice in the time it takes to watch the other movie once. And you know, a film that I absolutely adore, and from a filmmaker that I think is going to really bring stuff that we is going to be one of our major filmmakers in years to come is Rose Glass. I mean, you look at Saint Maud. Saint Maud is, talk about a film that you get blown away by the direction and the choices and the talent behind the screen. That is a film that is again rewatchable for that length as well. It's an 85, 90-minute movie. I think that more filmmakers need to remember that less is more. Less is more is such an important thing. If you can say something tighter, do it. If you can make a movie tighter almost all the time, do it. Look at The Irishman, 3.5 hours, right? And now Netflix has this whole thing about, you know, it was a vanity project. I think someone actually added that quote to what Netflix said. But when you watch Irishman, or you watch a lot of things that come out of Netflix, you are looking at a film that doesn't have the studio constraints that are needed put upon it. And when I say that, you go back to the 80s, 90s, 2000s, studios had more control over their films. They said, the studio head would say, hey, listen, your film is going to come in at 140. You're going to come in at 90, 150 max. Now we're bleeding into 220, 230, 245. And unless it's necessary, vital to your film, less is more. Almost always. So many films that I see, you say, man, there's a better version here. If you would have taken things out, not added, you had the opportunity to make this really, well, certainly a better film, and you left more in this to lessen its overall quality. And I think that gets back to the director. You have to have somebody who you trust to watch your projects and say, listen, I like what I see, but I think you need to do this, this, and this. And I think there's not enough of that in Hollywood. And I know some creatives will think, oh man, that is sacrilegious what you're saying. But if it makes your project better, then you should be listening to those people who hopefully have a very good track record at saying, this is what I think we can do to improve your film.
Okay, so taking the less is more analogy,
Yep.
Let's look at The Social Network and
Yep.
let's look at the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So the dialogue was just right, you think?
Sorkin's screenplay is, again, Social Network it's a flawless film. Those don't come along often, okay? I don't care what film, even Parasite I've got, of recent films, which I think is, again, a masterpiece. I think there's a couple things that I would change. Drive is a film that I love Drive. I've seen Drive. I probably have seen Drive 40 times. That's a film that Really, it speaks to me as a LA person for sure.
40?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've watched that. I just watch it on a loop. It's a background. It's one of those films you put on in the background, right? And you just have, and it just makes you feel. Even though Drive, trust me, depressing film, but the feels, the score. Martinez's score in Drive is just something I can listen to. It's on my iPod, on my phone. I listen to that thing all the time. It just takes me to a space that is that film, and I'll never forget. It's another cinematic first that I'll never forget. The first watching of Drive in a press screening, I went, oh my God, this is reffin', wow. And again, it speaks to the love of Los Angeles, and I think he nails it, the feels of that film. But when you look at Social Network, and you're talking about a film that again is perfect. I think this, from the screenplay to the again score, screenplay, direction, acting, every single element of that film is perfect. So there's not one thing I would change about a film. Name a film I could tell you one thing we could change about. For Drive, very easy. For Drive, I think the number one thing I would change with that film is in the elevator head stomping scene where he's in there with Gosling's in there with Mulligan. They're in the elevator. You got the bad guy there, and he's going to do something terrible to him. He starts stomping the guy's head in, and we get it. He's absolutely obliterating this guy as he's down on the ground, and you don't see it, right? You don't see it. So Refn, at the very end, the last shot, boom, you actually see his foot go through the head, right? Like smashing a pumpkin. I think if you do not show that and you leave it up here, right? It's stronger. So restraint is often stronger than showing it. Look at Jaws, go back to Jaws, right? We didn't see, it was all in your head. If the terror is in your head, if the horror is there, then it's stronger than actually seeing it. I'm not saying that's universally true, but I think in cases like Drive and the elevator scene, no question that if Refn would have held off on that, instead pulled back and left it up here, it's a better film. So these are little things, but they matter. I mean, ultimately, I would love to be like a test screener of one. Show me your movie, and trust me, I'd have no problem doing this. Refn would be here, and I'd say, listen, man, film is... it's just such a film. But the elevator scene, we got to get rid of it. We got to get rid of the head stomping. And that's what we need. We need more of somebody who has the ability to judge and probably, okay, listen, someone could say I'm wrong about that. That's fine. But I think after watching enough films and really dialing in the skill of evaluation of a film, you become very aware of what works and what doesn't work. And I think that is a very important skill to have on a studio level, because therefore you could go in and say, for any film, and say, I know what I'm saying here. I think we can make this film better by doing this, this, and this. And I think we need more of that.
Beyond great direction, what makes a film amazing?
I think putting you in a world, creating a world that you escape into, that you are fully immersed in, that is, it's an experience that, again, takes you out of your everyday and puts you only into this. It could be anything. It could be modern day, it could be past, it could be sci-fi, it could be horror. It doesn't matter what the genre is. You're creating this fully alive world that these characters live in. And if you're able to do that, I think that creating that setting, that is so, it's crucial to a film. It sounds obvious, right? But not every film is able to do that. But the best films are the ones that literally place you in that location with those characters. And that is, again, essential. I mean, it is absolutely one of the key things that is needed to be done by any director, filmmaker, is to make you be part of that world. And it sounds easy, but it's not. And not every film is able to do that.
So with Blade Runner 82, that world was just like something...
fully realized.
Right, with the soundtrack.
Yeah, and again, think of the time, right? So you go back, and that's 10, 20, 40 years now, is that right? 40 years ago-ish. You're talking about, ahead of its time in so many ways. But the production design on that film, just the sets that were created, I think it's very important to have as much real, actual, tangible things in your film versus everything being CGI, right? We get blinded by CGI films these days, just so much of it, like Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. you're looking at a film that has so much CGI from that opening scene. It's just like I am watching characters in front of a green screen. You literally can see the green screen. In your head, you just like, they're in front of a green screen. I think there's so much power in actually putting those characters in an environment, a true, real environment. And that's one of the reasons Dune succeeds so well, is because the production design of that film is authentically, it's real, it is tangible, it is not CGI. There's CGI in the film, we know that. But more often than not, practical sets are where these actors are existing. And that is part of the world building. That's part of the production design of any film. I mean, one of the best films I saw from last year, Nightmare Alley. Nightmare Alley, Del Toro's Nightmare Alley is such an underrated film, and one of the reasons is that production design. You know, creating not just the carnival world, but also the noir world of New York in the 30s. Or Chicago, wherever the city was, you know, creating that world. The world building is everything to a film, and it's skill again that not every filmmaker has. So I think that's, if you ask me, direction very clearly, but it all still comes back to direction, doesn't it? I mean, when you talk about world building, it's the director's job to build the world. So that's why I say that the director's everything. I mean, sure, yeah, a script's important, but the director's skill and his artistic vision is by far, to me, the number one skill that you need to have as a filmmaker.